Hello everyone. Welcome to Master Mains PYQ program of NEXT IAS, an initiative to help students cover the questions that have already been asked in UPSC. See aspirants, UPSC PYQs are the best base to build your foundation upon. Why? Because they help you understand how UPSC covers a particular topic and the various do's and don'ts of this particular examination. So after polity and society, today we will deal with internal security. Internal security as a subject falls under GS3 syllabus of your UPSC CSC mains. If we go by the trend of last 5 years, UPSC has been consistently asking 4 questions from this particular area. That is 2 10 markers and 2 15 markers. So UPSC has allocated an overall weightage of 50 marks to internal security in your GS3. The entire syllabus of internal security in GS3 has been divided into 9 or 10 broad themes. And if we look at the past year papers, there are certain themes which are often repeated by UPSC, like cybersecurity, terrorism, left-wing extremism, and so on. I hope the question that we are going to discuss right now, you might have already seen this question in your last discussion video. And most of you might have by now written the answer and submitted for a free evaluation. If you are yet to write, you can write now and submit. Make this your regular habit. You yourself will realize the changes that will happen in your answer writing skills. Now, after this general overview, let us discuss the question of the day. The question is, winning of hearts and minds in terrorism affected areas is an essential step in restoring the trust of the population. Discuss the measures adopted by the government in this respect as a part of conflict resolution in Jammu and Kashmir. Now, if we look at the relevance or the context of the question, that why did UPSC ask this particular question in 2023 UPSC mains, basically militancy in Jammu and Kashmir is one topic that never fades. And this question particularly caters to the topic of extremism in your internal security syllabus. We see often in news that either there was a terrorist attack in some part of the Jammu and Kashmir or some of the terrorists got arrested. So basically militancy in Jammu and Kashmir has become a thematic topic from which UPSC has time and again asked a particular question. If we look at the particular questions asked by UPSC in basically various years from this particular topic of terrorism, or you confine it to militancy in Jammu and Kashmir, then in 2021 UPSC asked a particular question on causes and linkages of terrorism. Then again in 2019 it asked a question particularly regarding militancy in Jammu and Kashmir, where it talked about banning of Jamaat-e-Islami because it was getting the support of over the ground workers. Then again in 2017 it asked how terrorism has become a threat to internal security. So basically in last 7 years UPSC has covered the topic of terrorism minimum 4 times. Now before we start with the solution to this particular question, one more thing that I find very important pertaining to any particular question is getting the approach of any question right. And trust me, this approach is something that you cannot learn in one single day. Once you keep writing your answers, and mark my words, once you keep writing your answers on a regular basis, this approach is something that will automatically come to your mind. Now, if we talk about the approach to this particular question, the approach to this question will be, the theme of the question is VAM strategy, winning of hearts and mind in Jammu and Kashmir. So my intro part can be that I have to define what this VAM strategy is. Either I can go by VAM strategy definition in this introduction, or I can also start with some factual data regarding militancy in Jammu and Kashmir. Next part of the question we'll talk about, that is my body part 1, will talk about how it is an essential step in restoring the trust of the population. So we will talk about how it is an essential step. If you see, the question can be divided into 2 broad statements. The first statement is a very broad one, whereas the second statement of the question is talking about has narrowed the demand of the question to Jammu and Kashmir. So my third part of the question, that is my body part 2, will be that before highlighting the measures adopted by the government, we have to basically we will have to discuss the conflict in Jammu and Kashmir. Though this is not the explicit demand of the question, but before highlighting the measures taken, we will have to briefly discuss the conflict also. Then in body part 3, we will talk about the main demand of the question, that is the measures taken by the government. And finally, we will conclude our answer on an optimistic note. So this will be my approach to this particular question. Now next, if we talk about the introductory part of this question, basically my introduction can be regarding the definition of WAM strategy. WAM, that is winning of hearts and mind, it is a concept that is occasionally used in war, insurgency or other conflicts where one side, it basically prevents the use of superior force. Then what it indulges in? It indulges in emotional and intellectual appeals to sway the supporters of the other side. Basically, what it is trying to do, it is trying to bridge the trust deficit between citizens and the government officials. So, what it is trying to do, it is trying to bridge the trust deficit between government officials and the citizens. This strategy was first used, this strategy of hearts and mind was used by French General Hubert Lyautey as part of his strategy to counter Black Flag rebellion in Tonkin campaign in 1895. Now, why does Indian government wants to go by this strategy of WAM in Jammu and Kashmir? Why not use arms and ammunitions and just get rid of terrorism there? Basically, India wants to convey its image as a development agent as well as benevolent power. India wants to reduce the alienation of Kashmiris. State fosters state legitimacy and keep its image as that of a development agent as well as benevolent power. That we are in Kashmir as a development agent. We want to develop Kashmir. We are not against the local people. We are just against the terrorism, and we want to win your hearts and mind so that this local support to militants is not taking place. Next is we will have to talk about basically the Indian Army's version of WAM strategy. How it took out? It took its shape in 1998 under the banner of Operation Sadbhavna. This can be my brief introduction. You need not to talk about French general, how he started this strategy, but basically to get a clear idea of the picture, you have to explain the concept in brief. Now we have to talk about body. In body part 1, we have to justify how it is an essential step. And basically, once we are justifying the essentiality of a concept, we will have to give certain examples also. So my first concept will be it helps in building trust. How it helps in building trust? Basically, when we involve the local community in decision making, it gives them a sense of ownership and cooperation. The perfect example to this can be Back to Villages program. In Back to Villages program, those government officials, they are working as well as residing in the villages itself with those villagers, and by residing with them, by working with them, they can make them a part of their decision making. They can understand the real pain, and that will help them build trust. The local populace will always feel like that, yes, I can trust on the establishment of my UT. It is my union territory. Next will be basically it helps in understanding the cultural and political dynamics. India is such a vast country that there are so many different cultural as well as political pockets in various parts of the country. So to tailor its counter-insurgency measures according to the demand of the situation, it cannot be like one size fits approach for each and every part of the country. So to tailor its counter-insurgency measures, we need to understand the cultural as well as political dynamics. Third can be effective communication. Effective communication. How it helps? Basically in Nigeria, this government and NGO, they used effective communication to counter Boko Haram's agenda. Their propaganda was countered by government as well as NGO using effective communication with the people. Next can be to prevent radicalization. There was a program that is Youth and Consequences program in Denmark. It helped to give youth a sense of belongingness, and it prevented their radicalization by these militant groups. Next can be we have Mizo Accord. We have Assam Accord. These are another examples before our eyes which shows the efficacy of this WAM strategy where a dialogue process bore fruits. Next can be economic development. Basically in those pockets of the country like Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh who are affected by Naxalism, government is using schemes like Udan, which is focusing on giving job creation, job training to these youth so that they are employed and they don't fall prey to these Naxalites or these militant strategies. So these are the points which show how it is an essential step, and it is not just the use of arms and ammunitions and basically a physical force that can bear fruits. It is also about winning heart and minds of these local population so that they can be a part of development process. Then after showing this essentiality of this VAM strategy, we have to briefly talk about the conflict in Jammu and Kashmir. This was not an explicit demand of the question. So to save my time as well as my words, as it is just a 10 marker and we have to write in 150 words, we take help of a small flow chart. So various conflict areas in Jammu and Kashmir is cross-border terrorism. Next can be local support to militants, that is the support of over the ground workers. This was the question asked by UPSC in 2019 also. Next can be basically narco terrorism is there. If we go by the data of Ministry of Social Justice, it recently highlighted that 2.5% of the population of Valley is prone to this drug menace. It is way higher than even Punjab, where 1.2% population is addicted to drugs. So this drug menace, basically what our external state actors are doing, if they are unable to ferry arms, if they are unable to basically deliver arms and ammunitions, they are addicting the youth of the union territory to these drugs. Next can be information warfare. Basically, Turkey is helping Pakistan by exploiting the modern technologies to do this information warfare with India. Another conflict, another issue in Jammu and Kashmir is lack of industries, due to which there is high unemployment rate and these youth are falling prey to these militant organizations. So these can be my brief issues, brief conflict with respect to Jammu and Kashmir. Next, if we talk about, then it will be the main part of the question, that what are the steps taken by the government as part of VAM strategy in Jammu and Kashmir. So next we have to talk about measures taken. The first measure, if we talk about, is integration tours by Indian Army. Indian Army every year conducts 100 integration tours across the Jammu and Kashmir. Why? To basically guide youth about the history, culture, geography of the country as well as the development activities taking across the country for their own welfare. Why Indian Army is doing so? Because the picture of Indian Army in the eyes of the local population should not be that of a basically another militant organization, or these militant organizations are trying to portray Indian Army as anti-local people. So what Indian Army is doing, it is trying to show them the real picture, that how the administration of the country is in your welfare and how we are 24 hours 24 into 7 available in your service. Next is operation mission reach out. After the provocation of Article 370, when there was a complete security lockdown in the valley, Indian Army conducted mission reach out. What was the purpose of mission reach out? Basically, those people, those local population should not feel that under the garb of a security lockdown, we are deprived of our basic amenities also. So what Indian Army was doing, it was trying to basically reach even to the last person of the valley, and it was trying to ensure that they are not deprived of the basic amenities like ration, like water supply, like electricity connection and so on. So it was trying to reach out to the last person of the valley and to ensure that they are having a healthy, sustainable lifestyle. Third is Mission Pahal. And Mission Pahal is based on the theme of Ek Kadam Aman Ki Or. This program ensures that the local officials of the valley, they are having face-to-face interaction with the youth. Why? To hear their grievances. Once the youth are able to portray their grievances to the local officials, then administration can work on their grievances. Until and unless the administration, the government, the army will come to know what is the issue of the local population. It cannot be like that person sitting in Delhi is making policies for Jammu and Kashmir. It is about that local grievances have to be heard in face-to-face conversation. So for that purpose, the administration started with Mission Pahal. Next can be Mission Youth. It was basically a broad program to make these youth the ambassadors of peace, prosperity and socio-economic development of the valley. There were various programs started under Mission Youth. One was Mumkin. It was a livelihood generation program under which the unemployed youth of the valley, they were given a subsidized vehicle, basically a local vehicle on a subsidized rate, so that they can start their journey of livelihood in transport sector. Another one was Tejaswini scheme. Under Tejaswini scheme, it was about women empowerment. The valley's women were given financial assistance up to 5 lakh rupees so that they can turn out to be local entrepreneurs. Third can be Rise Up Together. It was about community entrepreneurship for the locals so that they can be a part of job getting process. And another component of this Mission Youth was Sahayata. That is financial assistance of up to 2 lakh rupees for those youth which are in distress. So basically government tried to cater to every part of the valley under its mission youth. Then if we talk about other measures taken, basically government has tried to portray itself as a welfare, as a well-wisher of the local people. Fifth was government, Indian army was basically trying to promote surrender. It was not on a policy of that we are here to wipe out the militants. It was on a policy of that we are promoting, we are basically we want you to surrender. And for this, what Indian army was doing, it was even inviting the parents of these militants to the encounter site so that they can come and they can make emotional appeals to their children to lay down arms. Next was this various statements by army officials that we will tone down Operation Clean Out. And what was Operation Clean Out? Use of arms to basically get rid of terrorism. Seventh was use of social media by Indian army. Social media was one thing which was exploited by these militants to radicalize youth. Indian army used social media in the other direction. How? It limited this extremist content online. Plus, whatever goodwill it was showing for the valley people, it tried to promote it through this social media. Next can be this provocation of Article 370. It also basically gave them a sense of that now they are a part of mainstream Indian society and they are not, they won't be seen as a second state citizen or a secluded citizen of the country. Next was this local elections. This grassroots democracy was ensured there. Recently, local elections were conducted in Jammu and Kashmir, which was to ensure grassroots democracy so that all the three tiers, even the people of the villages, even the last mile delivery can be ensured, even the person sitting far away in that valley region can be a part of democratic process. Next step taken was Project Himayat. It was again for the larger welfare of the unemployed youth so that they can be given certain training which can ensure their jobs. Next was this Umeed scheme. Umeed scheme was to ensure women are taken out of poverty and their handmade products can be marketized. They can sell their local produce, they can sell their skills in the open market. These were so many measures that were taken by the government as a part of WAM strategy. Now, if we point out to this Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, Manoj Sinha, he pointed out recently that peace is no longer bought, but now it is enforced by law in Jammu and Kashmir. And we have so many instances to prove that this WAM strategy has bore fruit there in Jammu and Kashmir. Why so? The first instance can be that Shias, who constitute 20 to 25% of the population of the valley, they could not conduct their religious Muharram procession there in Srinagar since 1998. After so many years, it was conducted recently in August 2023. Next is restoration of so many shrines as well as temples is taking place in Jammu and Kashmir. Third point can be, last year there were 8 million tourists in Jammu and Kashmir, and this year this number is expected to cross 20 million. Fourth instance before us to show the efficacy of WAM strategy in Jammu and Kashmir is infrastructure boost. This infrastructure projects of worth rupees 25,000 crores, they are in the execution mode right now, and it is expected to reach around 80,000 crore in this particular year. The fifth point can be the effectiveness of the COVID management of Jammu and Kashmir administration. It was even praised by Mumbai High Court, where it asked Maharashtra to have certain lessons from Jammu and Kashmir. So these are all instances which basically show how the WAM strategy of Jammu and Kashmir administration is getting fruits. I won't shy away from saying that it is not just the WAM strategy, but the mixture of both WAM as well as the use of arms to counter terrorism that is the need of the hour. So, in the conclusion part, we can optimistically basically conclude saying that Jammu and Kashmir appears to be on the cusp of a paradigm change. And it is high time that before things get irreversible, Government of India should pay attention to the challenges that hamper a return to normalcy, and that normalcy should not be superstitious but substantive. So all I mean to say is that Government of India, instead of just trying to assimilate the local people of the Kashmir, it needs to integrate them to the mainstream society. It needs to build trust there. It needs to show that we are there as a developer. It needs to ensure that there is no challenge that hampers the return to normalcy. The provocation of Article 370 has given a good opportunity which should not be missed. Briefly, on optimistic note, we can conclude our answer. Thanks for watching the video. If you really find it useful, do like the video and share it and comment it. Basically, share it among all your UPSC aspirants so that even they can take benefit from it. Thank you. Hopefully, we will meet in some other video soon.